Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel for our weekly news recap. It's coming a little late just because life got in the way, and I ended up going to the movies yesterday to see Deadpool and Wolverine. So no spoilers. Um, I may do something later in the week to discuss potential figures from that movie because I think if you've seen it, you know that the trailers only touched on a few key aspects of the movie, and there's definitely a possibility for everybody's heard of the cameos. I'm not going to ruin which ones, but there are definitely a couple that I am hoping that Hot Toys will decide to tackle and give us a figure from because um, they were huge moments in the movie that got a lot of um, reaction from the crowd, and I think justifiably so. So having those on the shelf next to Wolverine and next to Deadpool would be fantastic. But again, talking figures, this is also something where last week we got all those announcements, and at the start of the week, right on Monday, we got the drop of all those exclusives that were going to be coming out. At the time of this video, the hologram, Darth Maul hologram, and the Joker in Imposter version have already gone up for pre-order and are on wait lists at the moment. But we still have more coming with Monday, including the one I'm looking forward to, which is the Black Widow artisan version. But on top of that, ACGHK is going on. So is San Diego Comic Con. But look, let's be honest, San Diego Comic Con, while it's exciting in the sense that there is going to be a huge Marvel presentation at Hall H today, from a figure perspective, Sideshow doesn't go anymore. And it just feels like, I don't know about you, but for me, that Wednesday night, knowing that there was going to be that preview night leading into Thursday and then into Friday, that was the night where you would have little flurry of activity coming your way from social media with people taking some pictures and giving you a hint of what was on display. And that was kind of exciting when you would finally see all these prototypes just come out of nowhere. Now, obviously, Sideshow doesn't go to San Diego anymore, and I don't think there are any plans. They do their own online event, which, look, I like Sideshow. I buy all my Hot Toys pretty much from them, um, but it just doesn't have the same kind of hype to me that San Diego Comic Con did. So, fortunately, we did end up getting another show in Hong Kong, ACGHK, which Hot Toys does have a pretty significant presence in, and they dropped a ton of surprising teases. I'm not going to say they're announcements because we've seen Hot Toys do this before where they tease new figures and they never go anywhere, right? Case in point, the Vulture from Spider-Man No Way Home, or sorry, Spider-Man Homecoming. Um, they teased it in multiple events and it's still not out for pre-order. You've gotten a bunch of the What If figures. You got Hawkeye teased in the event from his own series, and no sign of that. So it's not a guarantee that we're going to get these figures, but it gives you a tease of potentially something we can get. So we're definitely going to go over it because it's just been insanity. And also, it's Hot Toys kind of closing the door a little bit, or opening the door onto licenses we thought they were done with, and kind of staking their claim, I think, to the six scale world. Now, where does that leave InArt J&D? InArt's still going strong with their own things. J&D, we were supposed to get a Harry Potter announcement and pre-order this week, but it looks like it's been delayed to August 9th. Initial feedback from their Harry Potter prototype, it didn't seem that great on social media, so not sure if that caused them to pause and reconsider, but we'll discuss it on August 9th. But without doubt, there was a flurry of activity, a lot of news worth discussing, and not just from the show, right? But obviously, Hot Toys also announced a second version of Wolverine, which we're going to go over. They teased a bunch of new characters from Deadpool. So we'll go over all that, but there's also other companies, right, third party that are doing some things. So let's start with, I think, the one I'm excited. The first one that kind of they teased in that image with all the other exclusives, and we thought it was going to be a variant. Well, it kind of is a variant, which is this Wolverine and TVA jacket, right? And that was something they revealed, I think, yesterday or Thursday once the movie got released, because there was I guess spoilers were starting to go out. So, look, the first thing that strikes you is it's seamless. This is, I think, the first full seamless body we've gotten from or recently that we've gotten from Hot Toys, because we got the old Dutch, I think was a seamless body as well, the old Rambo as well, but they just lacked the detail work that's going in here. But if you've seen the movie again, having seen it, this is starting to make much more sense to me. And while it's from a shorter moment in the movie, I think it's important enough that I definitely I'm pre-ordering this without a doubt, right? I like the fact that we're getting the TVA. I like that even without going into spoiler territory, just if you've watched Marvel at this point, Loki featured the TVA pretty significantly. So the fact that we're linking back to Loki in this kind of multiverse thing is great. You get this very interesting diorama stand. You get the mask, right, that he can remove. That also got a huge pop in the movie theater for me. You get the Wolverine. You get some interesting diorama pieces, right? This broken file cabinet. You get this bloodied up katana. There's Look, it's a variant. It's an alternate version if you don't if you want it. Uh, I know there was some comment that you don't get seamless arms or wrists, but if you're gonna swap out arms to be able to hold the katana or have him in different poses, I'm not really faulting that. But again, right, the work that Hot Toys did here, the sculpt, first of all, is Hugh Jackman through and through. I don't think there's any denying that. It looks phenomenal. If they can maintain this is going to be one of the best, if not the best, Hugh Jackman sculpts we've ever gotten from Hot Toys, right? Obviously, the extremely weathered pants, very cool looking, especially with where this happens in the movie. But then the detail on the body too, with the cuts, the blood, right, the caked in drying blood, all that looks great. It looks like the jacket is actually wired to give you some posability. Now look, I like the jacket, and I think this is actually the look that I'm going to go for. Him with the jacket opened up. Um, my only concern with that is that the jacket bleeds onto the body, because we've seen that happen before with other figures, especially with the clothing. So there is a part of me that doesn't want to do that, but the jacket looks great. It's very simple, but the highlight is definitely the fact that you're getting a fully exposed body with the level of detail. Again, Hot Toys is just, I think they're flexing at this point. And we're going to get into the particulars of this release, because it does look pretty posable as well, which is something great, right? So you get the rolling eye system, that's pretty standard now. You get the jacket display. This is what's interesting. It's silicone upper body. So we're getting silicone. So if you've been following six scale news throughout, um, J&D makes a big deal out of their silicone sculpts and the bodies. The fact that Hot Toys is doing a silicone body at cost, at a pretty affordable cost, that's pretty impressive. And again, it just feels like another flex from Hot Toys. The diorama looks great, right, with all these pieces. It's very simple, not going to take up a lot of space, which I think is key. But it's the first variant, and actually not the first variant. It's the first alternate look that we're getting from the movie for this Wolverine. Um, Without spoiling much, there are variants. Um, Not as many as you would think, but I do anticipate at least one other variant Wolverine, maybe two. I could be wrong, and they could go for more, but there was definitely one that made an impact. Um, so more on that. I'll do a spoiler video later because I don't want to mess that up. But it's clear to me, especially after ACGHK, that Hot Toys is going all in into this movie. And look, if the reaction from my friends and from myself and from the crowd at the movie theater was anything to go by, this is going to be a huge hit of a movie for Marvel. And I feel like, I'm not going to say it gets Marvel back on track, but it starts that. I feel like if Marvel can build on the positive reception from this movie into Captain America, Brave New World, and Thunderbolt, and deliver solid movies, then we might be able to say, all right, Marvel's starting to get back on track. But this is a great first step to do that. It was a fantastic movie, great characters. It was great seeing Wolverine back and Hugh Jackman. And obviously Ryan Reynolds kills it as Deadpool, but very exciting announcement. It's an alternate, right? So if you're not fully invested in the movie, or you're looking for a more classic look. Obviously, the deluxe that just got released with the full yellow suit might be the way to go. But for me, I'm all in the line, right? I definitely am going to look to pick up as many of these figures as I want, and this one's definitely coming home. The work that they did on the body, the detail work is just it's uncanny. It's an unbelievable what Hot Toys is able to do. And again, just seems like a flex from them on what they're able to do. So continuing on with Deadpool and Wolverine, and we'll see these in the ACGHK pictures, but they did tease Lady Pool. We saw her in the trailers. Again, I'm not going to go too into things, but she comes with the Uzis. She comes with the same swords, and obviously the big ponytail and the female body. Look, she's another one that I'm definitely going to pick up when and if she gets released. I think the fact that they're showing these images, I mean, these are pretty much promotional images right now. So it's almost like they gave us the announcement. I would expect her to come in the next week or so, based on the fact that we're getting these pictures. The dog, the dog was great in the movie. Right, we're gonna end up with like 20 versions of this. There is something, and we'll look at the sideshow page for figures that got teased along with the ACGHK post, but there is supposedly a special edition version of her. Very curious what that special edition includes. Having seen the movie, it could be almost anything. Uh, so I'm not sure what she's going to entail, what that special edition is going to come with. But of all the Deadpool variants we saw, she was definitely one of it. It's not surprising that Hot Toys is making her because she was teased in the trailers, and of all of them, she's one of the ones that makes the biggest impression. So she looks great, right? She looks very poseable. Again, it's Deadpool, but she's got a different suit, right? It's a female version of him. So definitely one of the more striking variants to have, right? So carrying on with that. I'm trying to think. Why don't we get into the ACGHK pictures to right? Because I think that's what we're looking for. So obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine, the big kind of moment of the show, and then you could see the big figures that they were announcing prior to this with the Artisan Black Widow, the Artisan Joker, the battle damaged Darth Vader, which looks amazing, General Grievous, right? You get Logan here, um, the Iron Man, and the Iron Spider Artisan. So very much what we'd expect, and this is what's missing from Sideshow, unfortunately. So look, we're seeing Lady Pool again. We just saw the pictures that they dropped. That was a great announcement. Star Wars, look, you guys know it. I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Clone Wars, I haven't even watched it, so I'm not sure what that is. You do have that exclusive Commander figure that's shown in the background, and then just a bunch of troopers. I just don't know enough about these to get excited about them, and they're troopers. Look, as a diorama, this looks great, so I'm not going to fault anybody who likes these, right? And these troopers, they look really good, but they're just not for me. Um, Now this was unexpected. We already got the Val Kilmer Batman Forever, Batman, and the Chris O'Donnell Robin. So it looks like they're going into Batman and Robin. Unexpected. Batman and Robin was the Batman movie that almost killed the Batman that did kill Batman in movies for a while until Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan came back and revived the series, right? But look, there's no denying. First of all, I like the Robin suit, right, with the red and black. It just very simple, very sleek. Obviously the exposed nipples, which were always part of the humor behind that with the George Clooney Batman. Um, Look, George Clooney makes a reappearance in the Flash movie. At this point, that movie's so old that if you watched it, you watched it. So I'm not worried about spoilers. But look, there's nothing wrong with them. They look fine, but just like the Val Kilmer ones, um, those movies weren't highlights for me. And this movie was so bad. Um, I wish I could say so bad it was so good, but I never really felt that way. So, um, look, exciting to get these. Sure, it's nice that Hot Toys is kind of continuing on giving you those DC characters. Is it something I'm going to jump at to pre-order day one? Absolutely not. I'm not going to fault it. Right, it looks good. It's got those all the accessories, the wacky ones we saw. And if you do like Batman, of course, why not? But for me, um, it's Keaton, it's Bale. It's Ben Affleck's Batman I loved, and surprisingly, Robert Pattinson's Batman has been pretty good. That's enough for me. I don't need to dive into these unless I can get them for a ridiculously good deal. Um, but for right now, exciting that we got them and they look good, but not something I'm gonna be crazy about. And look, again, right, because they're single suits and rubberized, I wouldn't expect the most flexibility in these or posability. So just keep that in mind. But a very cool announcement there. I'll skip through these. This one. All right, so they're obviously spoiling it. There is Kid Pool in the movie, and obviously we saw Baby Pool. Look, I did Kid Pool even have Kid Pool has like one moment in the movie. I would 100% get this, and I think if rumor is to be believed, these two were played by Ryan Reynolds kids or voiced at least. So that's actually pretty cool. But look, I like the fact that you get the bat and the water guns as opposed to real guns. So it's very tongue in cheek. But it's going to be a great variant, right? When it comes to having variants, you get Lady Pool, you get Kid Pool, you get Baby Pool, you get Dog Pool, and you get our classic. It's not going to me, that's not going to feel like just the same figure, just with a couple of extra accessories, right? So definitely very appealing to me. So that was another exciting announcement. And I think it's a sign of how much Hot Toys is going to go into this line, deservedly so. I think these are the life size figures that I can't afford. Look, we saw the reveal of this. This figure's already up for pre-order. I ordered mine. There's no way I'm going to pass it. If you did go to this show, I think there were 1,500 that were released early. So some people already have this in hand. I did consider buying that, but it's about $150 markup. And I could take that 150 and apply it to another pre-order, especially with all the pre-orders coming in now. I can wait. I don't need to have this day one. I'm going to have it at when it gets released for the full market. But if you are looking to get this now, there are probably sources from overseas that can get that for you. The Wolverine, again, right? This is the one that if you want a classic look or an alternate version look, this is the one you're going to get. But for me, again, I have this one on order. I'm actually looking to get the regular version so that I could get the full alternate look, and then the TVA jacket version. So all three of those are definitely coming home. So it's a great looking display right now. There's a lot more possibility here, I swear to you, of things that are yet to come. The Artisan we discussed looks really awesome. The Artisan Black Widow. This is the one that I'm most excited about as well. Hulkbuster 2.0. I will tell you right now, I'm probably out on this one. I have the original Hulkbuster. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece, and that's really a piece because it's not a figure, right? At the scale, it just isn't. Um, it's it looks great. I don't see enough differences though. I think obviously one of the things I'd imagine is this is going to be USB powered, which is a highlight, right? You can see the cable in the back, so that's huge. Um, but is there anything else that's coming to this? I think it's an automated, like mechanical opening. So instead of trying to pry things open, it's going to open by itself. Again, very interesting. But for what this is going to cost, is it enough to make me say, right, I can pick up a second one and still be happy with the first? I don't know that the differences are there for me. So very cool if you missed that one. And again, I'll wait to see the reveal. If this even makes it up to pre-order, I'll wait to see the reveal to see what happens here and if it's worth picking up. But I doubt it for me. Just not something I'm looking towards. But very exciting. Now we saw this Iron Man. Can't wait for it to go up in pre-order. This is already, I think, shipping at this point. Looks phenomenal. But again, for me, with all the other exclusives already dropping, yeah. Now, I think we all expected this at some point. Jar Jar Binks is coming our way. I don't know. Look, I'm glad he's coming out. I'm glad we're getting an alien from Star Wars, and that they're doing like the Kit Fistos, the Jar Jars. Look, if you watch that first movie, he's not. He was meant to be a great character like Chewbacca, and obviously that didn't pan out. Uh, I'll wait. I'll wait and see. Right? Again, not a huge Star Wars fan, so not sure that this one's gonna be immediately called to me. Chewbacca, though, on the other hand, I do have some Star Wars figures, and I feel like Chewbacca is a much more important character in the Star Wars saga that might be worth getting. I do there was another version released with the Han Solo, so that is a great two pack, and they also did the Chewbacca from Force Awakens as a two pack with Han Solo. So this would be, I think, the third iteration. Looks great. It really does. I don't know what else I can say, and it's going to be a piece that stands out. So definitely looking to this one, depending on what the price is to pick up. Clone Commanders again, not my thing, so I'm just going to skip through these a little bit. This Darth Vader, phenomenal, right? I mean, again, we've gone over it. It's just a breathtaking piece. So is General Grievous. The Droideka, this is one that's weird because even though I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, I am looking to pick him up. And this was another surprise that I'm looking forward to, which is the Stap and Battle Droid. I would definitely pick this up. I passed on the sideshow version of this, and I think it's still pretty expensive, and it was pretty good. This looks to be very much the similar design, and I think with the Droideka and with General Grievous, having some droids like that, some villains would look pretty cool. And this has a pretty nice, decent shelf presence, although it is going to take up some space. That was probably my most exciting Star Wars tease from this show. Right then, you've got the Chewbacca, we've got those guys. Let's see if there's anybody else. More George Clooney picks, and Batman Returns Batman. They did this version before. Looks great, right? Looks like you're getting swappable face plates. They are giving you a cowl. I'm wondering if that means you're going to get sort of what is it, a fully unmasked sculpt that you get a Michael Keaton sculpt with. I don't remember if the original version of this had that. I know that it came with a Michael Keaton in tuxedo version, but I'd be very interested in seeing this. And the fact that they're doing Batman Returns. Look, we haven't gotten a Joker 2.0, so there's no guarantee or anything, but the fact that it seems like the Catwoman license is out now. J&D's doing it, statues. Jazz Inc. is doing their 6-scale figure, right? That's going to be their inaugural figure. And I just have a feeling I would not be surprised if in the next few months or sooner, Hot Toys drops an announcement that they're doing not just the Catwoman, but they're doing a Penguin figure. It wouldn't surprise me at this point. I think they've seen the hype that's built up around those characters, and the fact that we're getting a 2.0 Batman from Batman Returns, definitely intriguing right there. Obviously more exclusives. This guy's growing on me. I originally thought I was going to pass on that Joker, but the more I see it, the more I think at the price point, this is something I'm definitely interested in picking up. Now, this was another great surprise. Another version of the Battle Damage Terminator. Looks great, right? It's Terminator. What's for me, this definitely brings me back to the movies that got me into collecting, and I've got a ton of Terminators already, so I would definitely love to add this. Again, it's Hot Toys going back to those older licenses and saying, you know what, we still have them, we can still do something great. And then Predator. I'm a huge Predator fan. I have the original that came out with the Dutch and the Billy. I'd love to see somebody pick up those other soldiers from that team, but this is pretty intriguing. I'd like to see the specs on it because I don't know that it's that different from either the one we got from, definitely from the one that we got originally, but is it different from the classic that we got from Predators? Obviously the base is much different with the Dutch traps that he lays out. You've also got Dutch's spear, which brings to mind, it would be like the fact that we're getting these for diorama pieces. All right, fine, but how awesome would it be to get an updated Dutch? I take the fully geared up, kit up version, but imagine a Final Battle Dutch in mud. That's something that I've always wanted. Nobody's tackled, so I'm not sure. And then look, the alternate faceplate you're getting, this wasn't in the original movie, right? This is something that definitely comes up in the Predators movie, so it feels like you're getting a Predators Classic 2.0. This open the gauntlet knives that open up, we see that with Dutch in the Final Battle, so very interesting. Will I get it? I'm very tempted. It's going to depend on what the updates have been, and again, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but having the spear, having the Dutch knife, and the traps and the arrow right stuck into a piece of bark of wood. Is it Hot Toys telling us there might be something else? Who knows, right? But definitely another Predator coming, so that's pretty interesting. And then we get the the other stuff. Hono Thor, I'm not going for the Hono line. Just um, I'm gonna wait because yeah, I'm gonna wait. Um, they're just there's too much other great stuff coming out from Hot Toys right now that makes some of these not worth considering, right? So that was those were the big announcements from ACGHK. Um, so clearly, Hot Toys not playing around, right? They've got tons coming, and I'm sure, as is always the case with Hot Toys, we never just get those. We always end up getting more figures coming out. Um, so I'm trying to see what else we have to discuss from there. Um, look, Hot Toys wasn't the only one bringing new stories up. San Diego Comic Con, Caustic Plastic Infinite, who is also doing the Stallone shop, they had teased that they had the Bloodsport license a while ago, so they are revealing the first images of that Jean Claude Van Damme figure. So the the robe, the not the robe, sorry, I apologize for that, but the look overall looks pretty decent. This aggressive, I'm not sold on this kind of angry look, but I think this straight look from just a stoic appearance looks pretty interesting. So those are the only two shots we have right now from what Caustic is showing. Very curious to get these. I am going to try to pick up their Braddock figure from Missing in Action. So JCVD from Bloodsport, another one of those classic 80s movies that would start to populate an 80s shelf. So pretty interesting announcement there, and one that I'm excited to see come to fruition. So now, what else is there? Before we get into third party, let's talk about these. Let's talk about InArt a little bit. And credit to Owen Montague from 16 Kit, who posted these pictures. So we got the announcement, and this wasn't the first thing, right? So InArt is in San Diego Comic Con right now. They did showcase their global licenses, which are the Paul Atreides from Dune, and the Michael Jackson, which we're not going to discuss. I don't get musicians, and I'm just not hyped at all for that kind of figure. So not even going to touch base on those. So they did show those two global licensed figures, and then they had a bunch of 12 scale. Then they also did a show afterwards that I think was for a private show where they were able to showcase a lot more, or not a lot more, to be honest. I think the only other 6 scale figure they showed was the Nazgul with the ring wraith with the horse, which looks pretty good. Curious on price point, and again, I'm passing on Lord of the Rings. I just can't commit to everything. But the big announcement that they did have at the show was Walking Dead. Apparently, these are going to release next year. They do have a global license for The Walking Dead, so we'll be able to order them directly from them. So that's pretty exciting. As far as the license itself, 3-0 has done all of these figures already. Not saying that they're better than these, because I don't think they are, right? But they're pretty decent, especially for the price point. The 3-0 figures are all about $199. These, especially with the rooting, these are going to be in the $500 range. So you're looking at more than double the cost from the 3-0. So I think if you're a huge fan of Walking Dead, these are kind of interesting to see at this point. It's an interesting license for me for InArt to pick up, because I think The Walking Dead has always been popular, but I feel like that popularity has waned towards the end of the run. You know, it was on for multiple seasons. So are people really excited for this? I think you've got some hardcore fans, but I don't know that this is necessarily going to appeal to everybody given the age of the show. I could be wrong, right? For me, I remember watching the first couple of seasons and just losing interest. I've always told myself I'm going to go back and watch, but there's always something else that gets in the way that I'd rather watch instead. So still haven't finished up the series, and I know there are a bunch of spin-offs going on at this point in time. You know, Rick, Daryl, Negan, and Maggie in New York. So yes, there's still interest in the show. It's just a curious license for them to get. Having said that, I think the sculpt here looks pretty amazing. I don't know if the beard is actually rooted or if that's sculpted, but that looks pretty phenomenal, right? I think tailoring looks good. The hair, you know, it's an early prototype, but looks really solid. Negan, this looks like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I mean, it just does. And then I don't think this is rooted hair. This is sculpted. The likeness here is really solid. So again, kudos to InArt for that. And then the Daryl figure, that looks like Norman Reedus, right, shrunk down. Again, the seamless arms, And I mean, there are more figures floating around, but these are the ones that got posted on 1/6 kit. I think it's an interesting license for InArt to go with. Um, Here's the thing, right? Like when you look at the Lord of the Rings license, Asmus was doing a couple Lord of the Ring figures, but they had slowed down significantly. So it seems like now InArt's picking up the reins. Harry Potter, Star Ace had kind of hit the market and then they just stopped because they weren't selling. I don't know if that's more because there was lack of interest in the line or it was just because it's Star Ace. And there's just a reputation around that company in terms of quality. So um, I'm curious if that paused them, but it starts to make sense for me that InArt jumped in because there's a void there. There's a license that was opening in both these. Walking Dead, we even got a Rick Grimes from 3.0 that still hasn't released at this point. So 3.0 is still doing some figures. I think they did announce that they're putting the line on pause. I don't know if this is part of the reason because of InArt jumping into the fray. But it just seems like, is there going to be demand for these? And again, maybe it's not the target audience. Um, I'm not the target audience, and maybe that's the key, right? But I'm just curious what the market response is going to be like. They look great, no denying that. The figures look fantastic, but again, for the cost of these, I think I'm going to be more inclined to look at other releases that are coming up, including from InArt, because there is something, and I should try to find that for you guys. Um, but there is kind of this hint that InArt's going to be doing um, some other Harry Potter figures that they're actually going to move into the teenage Harry Potter figures. So that's great news for me, right? Who wants to continue on with the line for them? So we'll just see. But that seems to be the road InArt is taking. Um, and I will tell you too, one of the things that's interesting about this InArt conversation is the Artisan DX head sculpt has already dropped, right? From that Batman Imposter Joker version. It looks amazing, right? I've seen side by side comparisons of the two. Um, Not to detract from the InArt sculpt because it was great. The rooted hair looks good. I do think the Hot Toys one looks better. There's more detail on the sculpt to start with. I think the rooted hair. One of the complaints I think I saw a lot with the InArt one was that it was too much hair and people had to cut it a little. The Hot Toys one looks great. I think the only other thing that I've seen criticism wise is that the hairline, Heath Ledger had a bit of a widow's peak on one side, so that InArt captured that better than Hot Toys. But the other thing I like about the Hot Toys version is that the paint actually just reaches to up to the hairline, but not touching. So it looks more realistic, whereas the InArt one just goes right up to the hairline. Look, they're both good sculpts, but as the first, what ends up being the first artisan release, this Batman Imposter Joker, um, it's pretty much setting a standard for Hot Toys, and it's Hot Toys, I think, saying, look, they're costly, they're not cheap figures, but those are here to compete with the InArt product as well, and you're still getting them for a little bit cheaper. So you're just getting Hot Toys again flexing a little bit there. So I think for InArt and for J&D, if they want to stay in this market, it's getting licenses that people are asking for. So InArt had an announcement, and let me see if I can actually find that for you while we talk a little bit, because I think it's worth discussing. But InArt apparently did a stream on a Chinese show at this point where they teased some kind of additional licenses that they've kind of acquired. So I'm trying to find the post on Facebook that kind of showed it. Um, Harry Potter, continuing with that line, was part of it, but there was also discussion about them acquiring the Terminator 1 license. So people are looking forward to that, which is also funny because then now you've got Hot Toys coming in with their own Terminator figure. They're also saying they're focused on, sorry guys, I couldn't find it, but they're also focused on the Matrix figures from the original trilogy. I think that's a good license that nobody's really touching other than third party for them to go after. So it's interesting, right? But it looks like, then they're talking about obviously the new Superman, doing a new Superman figure, doing some figures from Joker 2, which makes sense. They have the license, but nowhere are they discussing the price discrepancy issue. So just curious to discuss that. But look, moving away from InArt, and again, J&D 2, I was hoping that we were going to be discussing the what's it called? the Harry Potter releases, but those got delayed. So again, we're looking forward to those. But look, not to be left out of it, third party Premier Toys continuing on with the Furiosa license at this point, or not licensed because these are not licensed figures, but it's the Chris Hemsworth character. Look, everything exposed joints. It's a third party figure. This is definitely more if you like the movie. There's an option here. They are doing rooted hair, so that rooted is, I hate to say it, but you look at what Hot Toys is doing now, where even non-DX figures are getting the rooted treatment, and getting an artisan release. I think that's where the market is heading. I think some figures with longer hair are just naturally going to lend themselves to that rooting. And as it becomes a little bit more affordable, I'm curious what that Black Widow price is going to be. But as things become more affordable, I could see that becoming more and more the norm. The fact that you're even seeing third party companies try it, to me, is an indication that that's where things are going, right? We're seeing third party do rolling eyeballs. We're doing third party do rooted hair now. Third party do real leather. So the fact that non-licensed companies are stepping up their game and still giving you, you know, figures that look pretty good like this one, and fill a little niche market, I think is telling. I think we're going to start seeing rooted become more and more the normal raw. Now, again, I haven't seen this movie. It's on my queue to watch at some point. I'm sure I'm going to like it. But they're continuing on with the license, so or the movie itself. So if you're interested in this, there's an option to pick up that character as well. And the last one, which just dropped today, and we'll do a quick review of that, is I'm sure some of you have watched that show, Peaky Blinders. It is it's about British gangs. So they're basically this company, I forget their name, but it looks like they're getting a Shelby figure. Now, Big Chief Studios had done these as well, and obviously Big Chief went under. So it looks like somebody's picking up the slack and giving you the Shelby figure. Look, sculpt wise, it looks a little plastic, right? So third party, just I'll give them credit for not trying to hide behind a lot of photoshopping, but it does look a little more toyish. But if you are looking for a character, it still looks good. Tailoring, if they can deliver on that, is pretty decent with the accessories as well. I like the machine guns. This is the smoke effect is something we see all the time with damn toys, so that's cool. And then you get a horse. I've got the DID John Dunbar on order, and actually I should be getting it soon. And the horse. So having a figure like that automatically becomes something that's just visually more impressive. So again, just interesting that somebody's picking up these characters that other companies have either let fall down the wayside, or that nobody else is really going to do at this point, and covers licenses that some of these big companies just, they're not superheroes, they're not Star Wars, right? Or they're not big blockbusters. People aren't really going to be inclined to pick up as a licensed. So it's nice to see that other people are doing these. So if you're interested, looks like this is incoming. I don't know a price point on it yet, but with the horse, although that's a static statue piece essentially, I'm guessing the price is going to be a little steeper than your normal third party. But interesting stuff nevertheless. So look, big week in terms of preview teases from Hot Toys, in terms of Deadpool and Wolverine, and I just want to, I'll wait a little bit, but when we talk spoilers, we're going to talk about figures that are coming in, and I'll put a big disclaimer on that one too, so that nobody gets surprised. So look, that was it. So I'm sure there's going to be more incoming next week, more exclusives potentially, definitely more figures from Deadpool and Wolverine, so just be prepared for those. So again, sorry for the lateness of this video, but just a lot of stuff dropping in a very short period of time, and just insanity overall. But if you are enjoying the content, please consider dropping a like, comment, or subscribing. I do have a couple of new figures that dropped. I waited just because there's so much else going on, but I'll start dropping those reviews next week, including the Khonshu. I got the Black Panther from the Shuri Black Panther. I also got the Thor Deluxe from Love and Thunder, which everybody seems to love. And on their way, I have Spock from X06 from Strange New Worlds. That should be dropping next week. And I also got that John Dunbar from DID Core to look at. And then we'll just see what else drops, because at this point, it's just every week we're getting a ton of not just announcements, but releases. So lots incoming. So be sure to stay apprised of what's going on, and we'll touch base on the next video.